Hey guys, so with the very heavily hinted at and now confirmed Prison of Elders returning to year 2, I wanted to have a discussion on my stream about Prison of Elders. We had this discussion on Tuesday the 22nd and it will be posted in its entirety very shortly after this video goes live. There were a few questions I wanted to cover. 1. Why did people not like Prison of Elders? 2. What other games have horde modes? 3. What did they do well? 4. Why did people enjoy them? And 5. What could be done to bring the fun from those horde modes into Destiny? So question 1. Why didn't people like Prison of Elders? There's probably a few reasons. Number 1 was probably it wasn't a raid. While Crota's End was viewed as a weaker experience than Vault of Glass, both Vault of Glass and Crota's End were considered extreme highlights of Destiny up until that point, significantly more so than any other activity. So when Prison of Elders was released and people realized it wasn't a raid, it immediately turned off a lot of people. Why else wasn't it fun? According to my audience and my peers, there were various factors. The areas weren't big enough, there wasn't anything random about them, the higher levels had too many bullet sponges too quickly, there wasn't enough spice to them, and there just wasn't enough in general. It was very, very bare bones. The random factor seemed to bug people the most, although random isn't always the true ideal for every single game with horde mode. The fact that you knew which modifiers came with what rooms ahead of time and the same enemies spawned from the same door every time meant that it was never a surprise. This isn't to say that other horde modes didn't do this, because some did, but there was usually some more depth to other horde modes, and this is another thing that Prison of Elders lacked: depth. In other horde modes, there is typically a good amount of depth, whether it's things you can do on the map, unlocking secrets, picking up new weapons, upgrading weapons, armor, perks, choosing specific builds to tackle certain kinds of challenges. Prison of Elders doesn't have this. It is as slimmed down as it can possibly be for a horde mode. Wave of dudes, kill them, next wave, up to 3 waves, then head back to the airlock, which was another complaint, by the way, was too much downtime and the airlock killing the pacing. The new Prison of Elders isn't even that anymore. It appears to be 1 wave per room with a boss in the middle and adds that spawn every time you take a chunk of health off of the boss. Destiny doesn't really have any of those extras, and those extras tend to make or break the experience. These are only a couple of reasons. There are definitely a few more things that I could have listed. So I mentioned other games having other things. What are those games? Well, you have the classics, Gears of War, Halo, Left 4 Dead, then you have stuff like Warframe, then you have stuff like Call of Duty Zombies and their multiple zombie forms, then you have stuff like Sniper Elite and Mass Effect. Now, I never played Gears of War or Halo, but I've been told these modes had some of the best horde mode gameplay you could find in gaming. From what I've researched and what I've gathered from the stream on Tuesday, people liked Gears of War Horde mode because it gave you situations where certain guns were better than others, it gave you customizable defensive upgrades, and almost seemed sort of tower defense-like in nature. There were also bonus objectives to complete during certain rounds to give you extra currency to get other things. Halo's Firefight mode simply utilized Halo's good gameplay and customizability. You could tune how easy or challenging you wanted the mode to be, while also incentivizing harder difficulties by offering achievement points for completion along with leaderboards. It was endless. Call of Duty's Zombies is also endless, with various upgrades and Easter eggs sprinkled throughout levels, crazy guns, not to mention leaderboards and its own ranking system. Warframe is also endless, with more action-based combat. Warframe's survival node's fun factor, to me, is just based on the fun movement and the fun gameplay, spamming skills and melee attacks everywhere, combined with the fact that every 5 minutes you survive, you get a reward. It's funny, despite the fact that I'm literally just mashing on the same one button to melee, it's still fun to me. I don't know. It also offers crafting materials for some of the best items in the game, so there's one thing in common that it has with Destiny. It offers endgame loot. So while the first few examples rely on shooter-based mechanics along with intricate buying and upgrade systems, Warframe is the only game that is similar to Destiny in that it is relatively bare bones and offers endgame loot, yet I prefer the survival nodes of Warframe versus the old Prison of Elders of Destiny. This is likely because I enjoy the high-action combat of Warframe more than I do Destiny with regards to their horde mode specifically. It could be because I play as Valkyr, who is widely considered as a very strong frame, so I've been told, and thanks again to the person who gifted it to me. The areas in Warframe that you need to survive in are so big that enemies spawning could be procedurally generated. They could not be, I don't actually know for sure, because you just end up fighting waves and waves and waves of enemies that spawn in such high amounts, at least at my level, that it seems random. It starts you fighting level 1 enemies, increases in level from there, and you just go. Another element as to why people seemed to enjoy Horde modes is because you were never forced to play them. Not everyone likes Horde mode, but in Gears of War, Halo, Call of Duty, etc., everything except Warframe really, you were never forced to play it if you didn't want to. It was just an extra thing for you to go do if you wanted it. So the people who played Horde modes were the people who enjoyed Horde mode, which is probably why you heard such good things about them, although obviously if the Horde modes themselves weren't good or fun, you probably still would have heard negativity. There's a reason people hold Halo and Gears in very high regards to Horde modes. While in Destiny, the Horde mode itself is basically as bare bones as it gets, and it forced you to play it if you wanted the best items, and once again, not everyone likes Horde mode. So what could be done to make Destiny's Prison of Elders more fun? We got the leaderboards in there on Bungie.net, and we have a new score attack system, which is a very, very, very good start. However, it needs to be more involved, more in-depth, more like other Horde modes from Mass Effect, Gears, Halo, you name it. Procedurally generated modifiers, orders, enemy spawns, etc. might be a good start. It feels like Bungie could make some of the more traditional stuff work, upgrades to structures, weapons that can drop on the ground for us to use. They made that little rocket launcher thing work. What if I could pick up a captain's shotgun off the ground and use that until it runs out of ammo? Or pick up a phalanx shield to draw aggro and protect myself? It's not like buffs don't exist in Destiny either. You can get auras on yourself, individual buffs. Plenty, in theory, could be done to make the experience have some more depth. Have the difficulty ramp up a little bit better than it did in Year 1. Don't have waves of full majors seemingly right off the bat. Keep up the pacing, limit the downtime of going back to the airlock, etc. But at the same time, I don't know. It just feels like more intricate things don't fit or feel like they fit with Bungie's design philosophy. It feels like they want to keep things simple for the average player. Not to mention the logistics of actually putting something more intricate into the game due to all the interconnectivity of the Destiny network. It's like, right off the bat, they might have to limit themselves on certain things because they don't even know if something with that much depth would be able to work just on a network level, forget logistical level. Either way, Prison of Elders can still use continued improvements to make the activity better, because done well, any game can benefit from having a side activity like a Horde mode. Throw some cosmetic rewards in there for people who want to really hit the high levels, which gives a constant goal to the hardcore players, being the best, being at the top. Making it infinite means there is an infinite skill cap and constant room for improvement for those players who continue to play the game. The conversation we had on stream is about an hour long, maybe longer than that depending on how I edited it. A good amount of the things I cover here are talked about in the discussion as well, but I wanted to make this shorter version in case people don't want to watch the whole long thing. Not only do we discuss Prison of Elders, but we also talk about the endgame experience as a whole, which I thought turned out really, really well. How about you guys? What do you want to see done to Prison of Elders? How would you improve upon it? Let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys enjoy the conversation that we had. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you next time.